From the dusty deserts, to the snowy mountains, to the brilliant thunderstorms, the Grand Canyon State has it all. Arizona's weather is some of the most diverse in the nation. The state could be said to have 5 seasons.
Spring, summer, monsoon season,
fall, winter. Good evening and welcome to this Cronkite News weather special. I'm Evan Liss. Tonight, the Cronkite News weather team will guide you through the unique weather phenomena that take place during Arizona's so-called 5 seasons. We start with Peyton Major with the most iconic of them all, heat.
Arizona is known for blistering hot temperatures, especially during the summer months. So why is Arizona so hot? And how has the city of Phoenix adapted to the heat of the desert? Well, the first and most obvious reason why Arizona is so hot is because we live in a desert climate. This means high pressure is usually focused over the southwest region and clear skies prevail. High pressure makes air sink, which also makes it harder for clouds to form.
Many parts of Arizona are so hot because we're in a geographic sweet spot. We're in a certain latitude zone where there's a particular atmospheric circulation pattern that forms that keeps it sunny and hot here. And we're quite far away from any major bodies of water that could influence our climate as well.
Phoenix is also located in a valley, meaning that the city is surrounded by mountains. There is also consistently dry air overhead, creating a less humid environment than if we were near the ocean. Our urban environment is a huge contributor to the high temperatures that Arizona is known for. The urban heat island is year-round, unlike monsoon season. It makes the average overnight low temperatures 10 to 15 degrees warmer in urban areas than in rural areas.
Phoenix is one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the United States, adding literally tens of thousands of people every year. And those people have to go somewhere. In some cases, we build vertically, we add taller buildings, but in many cases here in Phoenix, we build horizontally. We expand the footprint of the urban area.
The number of cranes dotting downtown Phoenix is one indication that expansion isn't slowing down.
Common building materials like cement absorb heat during the day and then slowly release it overnight. This creates a metaphorical heat dome over urban areas, making it feel much warmer than its natural environment.
One of the most common answers we hear when we ask neighbors what they're looking for to offset some of our heat challenges is more trees in their neighborhood and more green features in general.
Shade trees are the most natural solution to creating shade during hours of peak heat. The city of Phoenix has been working diligently to plant local native trees in urban areas to reduce the effects of the urban heat island.
Changing how reflective surfaces are in cities is also an effective strategy, whether it's taking dark roofs and making them a lighter color, or as we're trying here in Phoenix, taking our dark roads and making them a lighter color.
Dr. Hundula says there's not just one solution to reduce heat in cities. Rather, he says we need a number of strategies to cool down.
Arizona definitely gets really hot, but we actually have well over 100 days at or above 100 degrees annually. Our average first triple-digit day is around May 2nd every year, but we've gotten well above that. Actually, at Phoenix Sky Harbor, the hottest day on record is 122 degrees set back in 1990. On that day, all planes had to halt departures just because they didn't know what to do once it hit above that 120-degree mark. What also can get hot is your car. When it's just 90 degrees outside, in 10 minutes, your car can be in the triple-digit range. In half an hour, above 120 degrees. And in an hour, 133 degrees could be the internal temperature of your car. Another thing to look out for is the asphalt. As you know, black pavement can absorb heat during the day and get much hotter than the air temperature. If it's 95 degrees outside, the asphalt can be 140 degrees. So the best place to be would be in the shaded area on the grass. It can actually be cooler there than the air temperature. So let's talk a little bit about heat dangers, heat exhaustion and heat stroke. What's the difference between those two? Well, here's some of the symptoms that you can look out for. Heat exhaustion, someone's going to be faint, dizzy, sweaty, probably have clammy skin. With the heat stroke, they're going to have a throbbing headache, no sweating, dry skin, and a really rapid, strong pulse. So if you see someone experiencing symptoms of heat exhaustion, get them to a cool, air-conditioned place, give them plenty of water and a cool shower. But if you see someone with signs of a heat stroke, call 911 immediately because this can be life-threatening. In Phoenix, Peyton Major, Cronkite News.
Although we experience hot summers, there's also convective thunderstorms that roll through the valley. Sarah Blue and Evan List tell us about monsoon season.
Summers in the Southwest are defined by sizzling temperatures that are as dry as they are hot.
Now, while Arizona's weather may be like this in May and June, this isn't the full story.
Arizona's monsoon season can bring breathtaking thunderstorms that break the relentless heat and unabated sun of the Sonoran Desert. While many Arizonans call these individual storms monsoons, meteorologically speaking, the monsoon is a season and not a storm. The word itself actually comes from the Arabic word mausim, which means season. Officially, the season starts June 15th and ends September 30th.
The monsoon forms because of the intense heating that takes place over northwestern Mexico and the American Southwest in summertime. This causes a surface low pressure circulation to form called a thermal low. At the same time, at the higher levels of the atmosphere, our region's large high pressure system slides northwards. The combination of these factors allows tropical humidity to surge into our normally ultra dry desert location. When this humidity mixes with our heat, thunderstorms build and soak our parched landscape.
Generally speaking, these storms break out almost daily in the afternoons along the higher elevations of Arizona. Then the lower deserts get in on that storm action just before and during the nighttime hours as those storms roll down off the higher elevations.
In terms of year-to-year consistency, the location of the high-pressure system is really what influences how active the monsoon is.
The ideal location for that ridge placement is across the Four Corners region. So basically just north of the state.
When the high pressure ridge is in the right place, Arizona can see torrential storms. The most active season for Phoenix was 1984, when the city saw 9.5 inches of rain. That is over double the average, which is just under 2.5 inches. That year, storms covered the state. While we always welcome rain in the desert no matter where we are, too much of it all at once can become catastrophic.
This is what happened in Gila Bend. In the late afternoon of August 13th, 2021, lightning split the sky, and rain lit up on weather radars as a large storm complex moved through the state from the northeast. When the storm crossed into the lower deserts, storms exploded. Rain fell very rapidly, some places seeing almost 4 inches of rain in 2 hours.
The intensity caused catastrophic flooding for the town, and the usually dry washes near Gila Bend only served to funnel in more water and worsen the flooding. This park was completely submerged that day. In fact, you can still even see some water damage on that building right there.
2 people were killed in the event, and 100 were displaced by the damage, according to the National Weather Service. The next morning, the mayor declared a state of emergency for the town.
This storm complex was fueled by massive amounts of humidity, high winds, and incredibly unstable air. Now, all these ingredients are necessary to create a strong thunderstorm. However, that night they were present tenfold and came together to create a torrential downpour that slammed into neighborhoods like the one behind me. The Maricopa County Flood Control District, which has one of the most comprehensive flood networks in the world, closely monitors storms like this and how variations in weather patterns will affect life and property. After the break, you've probably heard of haboobs before, but what are they really and how do they form? Find out next.
Now on Passport.
What are you looking for in your life?
There's an important story that needs to be told.
Is it a sense of your own destiny?
Choose your story.
Try to help create change in some way.
It's a beautiful thing. Not very many people get to see.
Once you come into the neighborhood, you are a part of the family.
You can be a good person or a bad person. It's your choice.
Stop complaining and go actually do something.
Now you can stream even more documentaries with Passport on the PBS Video app.
Hello, I'm Adrienne Farewell, and I'm proud to serve as General Manager of Arizona PBS. From Phoenix to the Grand Canyon, Flagstaff to Prescott, and everywhere in between, this station is the best way to remain connected to all that's going on in our beautiful state. So whether you're interested in arts, culture, and music, to local politics and education, we've got you covered. You're watching Arizona PBS, and your Arizona connection starts right here.
I'm Chef Mark Tarbell. Welcome to Check Please Arizona. You picked this place. Tell us why.
It was just so cozy.
Anything you order there is going to be phenomenal.
I had the meatballs.
Garlicky in the absolute best way.
They were amazeballs.
I was that person that went up to the salsa bar 4 times.
Not what I was expecting.
Join me for the 10th season of Check Please Arizona. I'm getting hungry.
What you get from Washington Week that you will not get anywhere else are the best and the brightest reporters from different media companies, and they're able to have a real conversation.
How do you think that it's
so that people understand how power and politics impact their daily lives?
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS. Find out what's on Arizona PBS at azpbs.org/schedule.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. Before the break, we covered the monsoon, but the picturesque storms can give way to another legendary piece of desert weather. Let's go back to Sarah Blue.
By far, one of the most recognizable weather phenomena here in the Southwest is a haboob. These iconic dust storms can stretch over 100 miles wide.
Our dusty desert landscape makes Arizona the perfect place for these weather events. Haboobs are most common during the height of the monsoon, in July and August. These dust walls can stand an average of 5,000 feet tall, and winds can usually reach 60 miles per hour or more. Right now, there is no official index to measure haboobs, but meteorologists are currently in the process of developing one. The unofficial largest haboob ever recorded in Phoenix was in the late afternoon of July 5th, 2011. A cinematic dust storm rolled in from the southeast. The dust wall extended almost 100 miles wide and reached an estimated height of 6,000 feet. Quickly, visibility dropped to near zero, and air traffic at Sky Harbor was grounded for around 45 minutes.
A haboob is born from the death of a thunderstorm. When a thunderstorm dissipates, it will release a massive downburst, which can reach up to 100 miles per hour. As that air hits the ground, it will spread out in all directions. As the high winds travel across the desert floor, they'll pick up all of that dirt and create a massive dust wall.
Due to these high winds and lowered visibility, haboobs can be dangerous for motorists.
If you're ever caught in a haboob, you'll want to get off the road. As the National Weather Service says, pull aside and stay alive. Once you're safely parked, turn off your headlights and take your foot off the brake. Stay in your car with your seatbelt fastened until the storm passes by.
Haboobs are also common in India, the Middle East, and parts of northern Africa, which is where the term originated. In Arabic, the word haboob means to blow. Here in the Southwest, we see an average of 48 dust storms per year. From Phoenix, Sarah Blue, Cronkite News.
Massive walls of dust can be very dangerous, but they aren't the only thing Arizonans have to look out for. Tornadoes and dust devils both happen in the desert and can create hazardous conditions. Luke Vickery explains where they are and why we have them.
Arizona is known for its large desert landscape due to its latitude, position near a north-south mountain range, and placement far west of a warm moisture source.
The tropical air mass sources across the Gulf of Mexico, the Atlantic Ocean, and we are just cut off from that source.
Arizona lacks the simultaneous formation of the key tornado-producing ingredients like moisture and strong atmospheric systems of low pressure that bring what meteorologists call wind shear, a change in wind speed and direction with height.
Arizona does get daily thunderstorms, however, it doesn't get the wind energy, the wind shear, because there's not what we call areas of low pressure, which are the ones that tend to produce that wind shear.
These ingredients can make their way to Arizona, but only on rare occasions. On October 6, 2010, Arizona saw a new side of Mother Nature, fueled by a transition event.
Usually the transitional event patterns are those ones that tend to create the most severe weather across the state.
So it's called a transition event because we're transferring in between seasons. And as we transfer from monsoon season to the fall, we can get these unique weather systems roll through like we have here with this low pressure system. And this low pressure system will grab that moisture from the eastern Pacific that we have during monsoon season, but it will also bring along with it wind shear, which is what we need for these tornadoes. And it starts whenever you have faster moving air in the upper levels of the atmosphere compared to the surface. And as that happens, you can get this rotating, tumbling column of air at the surface. And whenever wind comes in from both directions, it'll actually lift that updraft into the vertical. And as it becomes more and more vertical, it'll tap into the cloud bases and actually rotate the lower parts of the cloud bases, and that's what we call the wall cloud. And once that column of air moves from the wall cloud closer down to the surface, we can get a tornado like we saw on the October 6th outbreak of 2010. Tornadoes actually have a close relative that is more common to Arizona. These are referred to as dust devils.
Dust devil doesn't form from a cloud. It actually can form on a clear sky day, so with no clouds.
Arizona is known for its intense heat, and as that intense sunlight makes its way down to the surface and heats the surface, it can warm some surfaces faster than the others. And when that happens, you get this rotating air that's called a low pressure system. And as air rushes in to fill that low pressure system, you can form a dust devil. And once it increases in intensity and rises high enough into the atmosphere, the process becomes self-sustaining. But that process can deplete once cool air is picked up and kills the circulation, and the dust devil dissipates. Dust devils cause much less damage than most tornadoes, but nonetheless, it's important to take proper precautions to stay safe. No matter the strength of the tornado, whenever one passes through a populated area, it's always impactful. The same goes for snowfall. Evan Liss explains.
Arizona is known the world over for its dry, sunny, and warm desert landscapes. However, fewer people know the other side of State 48, the side where it can snow a lot. Flagstaff, located deep in Arizona snow country, actually counts itself as one of the snowiest cities in the United States, averaging over 100 inches per year. So how is this possible here while places like Phoenix bask in warmth and sunshine? It mainly comes down to one thing.
Elevation is key. If you're heading from Phoenix up towards the Flagstaff area, you're going to be going uphill basically the whole way. And with that, as storm systems push across the area, a lot of times the winds are going to be from the southwest and they hit right along the Mogollon Rim, and that upslope helps drive and intensify the amount of precipitation we get. And in the wintertime, it's primarily snow that falls in Flagstaff.
This combination of factors can produce snow events that don't just coat the landscape in the mountains, but that bury them in layers of deep snow. The picture-perfect alpine environment of Arizona's high terrain has also allowed for a thriving ski industry that includes resorts such as Snow Bowl in the San Francisco Peaks and Sunrise Park Resort in the White Mountains. They count over 120 trails and 16 lifts between the two of them. All this snow doesn't just allow for tons of powdery fun, it also serves a much more important purpose for the state as a whole. See, the snowpack up here helps desert places like Phoenix survive, providing vital amounts of water with the seasonal snowmelt.
So our snowpack across the Mogollon Rim, in Flagstaff and across northern Arizona, a lot of it is, once it melts, it's going to end up heading south. It's going to impact the Verde Valley, and eventually it's going to find its way down into the Phoenix metro area, impacting the Salt River in different areas, and really helps replenish that water supply and put Phoenix in a good situation overall in terms of their water consumption and their water needs.
However, the efficacy of this system is only as good as the amount of snow that falls in a given year, and precipitation variability is very high year to year for Arizona. This means often officials and winter sport enthusiasts only know what kind of benefits they'll reap from a season once they're in it. In Flagstaff, Evan Liss, Cronkite News. Coming up after the break, we head to the Diamond. With baseball weather different across the country, do certain climates affect the game? That's next.
My heart is racing right now.
Fasten your seatbelt.
You're uncovering the truth.
These are consequential things. Yeah.
Oh, look at everybody.
I feel the presence of all these people.
I've got history.
No.
I wish my ma could be here to see this.
Amazing.
It's like the most vital stuff, right?
Tuesdays on Arizona PBS.
This is Phoenix.
For over the past 60 years, Arizona PBS has told incredible stories of Arizona's distinctive people, beautiful landscapes, and treasured history. Now relive those memories we've pulled from The Vault. From The Vault is a compendium of the best local PBS programming has to offer. It's fun, it's history, it's you. From The Vault.
Now streaming on the PBS app, the definitive collection of documentaries from award-winning filmmaker Ken Burns.
Hemingway, the man, is much more interesting than the myth.
It is a story that Americans have to reckon with.
He's got my job. I'm the champ.
Discover over 40 groundbreaking films that bring our history to life. Stream the Ken Burns collection now with Passport on the PBS app.
The PBS NewsHour, continuing nearly 50 years of unbiased reporting.
The speech sets the foundation for Democrats as they push for voting rights.
The protesters have not yet been moved, basically having their run of the play.
Covering a broad range of stories.
You've got less rain here now, too, right?
And they're running out of water. What's it like on that stage?
There's this magic.
I'm Amna Nawaz.
And I'm Jeff Bennett. Join us every weeknight on the PBS NewsHour.
What you get from Washington Week that you will not get anywhere else are the best and the brightest reporters from different media companies, and they're able to have a real conversation. How do you think that it's so that people understand how power and politics impact their daily lives?
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS. Find out what's on Arizona PBS at azpbs.org/schedule.
Welcome back to Cronkite News Friday edition. With baseball being the main sport during the summer months, especially in Arizona, the weather is a big part of the game. Our reporter Austin Scott picked the brains of collegiate and pro baseball players to see how much weather impacts America's pastime.
Baseball versus Mother Nature. More specifically, the weather. Across the country, players find themselves in different types of weather conditions throughout the year. When it's hot and humid, the air has a lower density and allows the ball to travel farther. While on the other hand, if it's too cold, the air has a higher density and the ball doesn't travel as much. So, if you're a hitter or a pitcher, what would be the perfect forecast to play in for the rest of your career?
I think the perfect weather for a pitcher is a little bit of humid, probably about 85 degrees with the wind blowing in.
I think I would have no humidity, so I'm not going to agree with Paul there. I think it would have to be probably around 65 degrees, clear skies. Actually, I would like to have a little bit of clouds in the sky because when there's fly balls, the depth perception is a little easier when there's clouds in the sky.
Players definitely take notice to the forecast, especially when it's cold and windy.
It's hard to get the feeling in like the hand, fingertips, and the ball just feels a little harder. When you're in humidity weather, it's just a little easier to get that grip on offset pitchers or all pitchers in general.
I mean, if it's very windy and it's swirling and it's blowing in, you really want to focus on working on top of the baseball so you're not really hitting fly balls. You know, you kind of want to work that ground ball line drive approach.
It's nice to hear from major leaguers about how different types of weather can affect baseball. But what if you're in the stands trying to catch a home run? I talked with YouTuber ball hawk Zach Hampel, who also caught Mike Trout's first career home run, to get a different perspective.
When it is freezing, I've had balls just go right in the pocket and squirt right out the tip. And it's so slick and it's cold. It's an awful, awful feeling, and it's embarrassing, especially because I'm me and everybody recognizes me, and it's like, oh my God, Zach Apple just dropped one. And I'm like, no, it's cold, you guys.
So how about for someone catching a baseball in the stands? What type of weather gives you the best odds to go home with a nice souvenir?
I would probably choose it to be very hot. Hot enough that it would be unpleasant for most other fans, and some people would probably want to stay home.
Finally, it's time to finish at home, right here in Arizona, where it's hot and sunny, enabling baseball to be played year-round. It's nice, but it also means you have to drink a lot of water. Otherwise, you might start hallucinating some stuff.
One thing I definitely do is drink a lot of water the night before, liquid IVs, stuff like that. You don't want to get on the field and start seeing cinnamon track monsters, so gotta stay pretty good up here and stay hydrated.
Maybe inappropriate, but when they use the bathroom, it needs to be clear. You know, we want to drink, make sure we're hydrated enough, and we need to drink the night before, the morning of, and then leading into that game.
In Arizona, the summer weather averages more than 100 degrees per day with hot sunshine. Somewhere like Seattle has temperatures in the mid-70s and frequent rainfall. So depending on the day and what position you play, Mother Nature may be with or against you. In Phoenix, Austin Scott, Cronkite Sports.
That's it for this special weather edition of Cronkite News. Thank you for joining us.